One of the most dreadful words that any parent could probably hear when they ask their kids or they tell their kids to do something is why. And, there may be a lot of parents out there that would be like, that's not a dreadful word. Well, for me personally, it had become a dreadful word because of what I had endured like 8 years ago. And asking, a kid to do something, and then you get arguments afterwards. And, what I've learned from all that is you never give a kid a reason why, because they can always argue that reason. Well, you can't do that. You can't go here. Why? Because, well, and then they give their reason why to try to undermine that. So in the past, I had learned to say because I said so. You inflict your authority. But, anyone that has seen my videos knows the situation of the past where it got to the point to where my authority meant nothing. It was walked on. They did what they wanted. They could argue. And so my authority was stepped on. So it got to the point, and I feel like it's still at the point, to where I can't say nothing. I feel like I'm stifled. I feel like I have no say, even though, my wife says that I have say. But I feel like since my authority had been taken away, that I can't say anything. And, I think I dread just another argument that would resurface. And I had said in past videos that, I have two responses. Either I will say nothing or I will blow up. And that, the whole blowing up thing is just pent up anger. And it's not fair to blow up at anyone because I'm angry. So, it brought a reminder today, since the second oldest asked to go to the park. And so I went to the mom because for me personally, you know, I, I don't mind, I don't care. But the mom has a different thought. So that's why I go to the mom and I get her viewpoint, and what she says goes, so I'm like, oh man, so now I gotta tell her that she can't go. But if I say that you can't go, then she's gonna hit me with why, asking for a reason. And then you give her a reason why, she'll argue that reason. So I said in response, because I just said, mom said no. And she said, okay. So I guess that's all the authority she needs. It's sad to actually feel that way, to live that way, to still feel that dread and feeling like I can't say nothing. I feel like I'm gagged, you know. They sometimes it's irritating because they can supposedly call me dad, but when I say for them to do something, it's it would be an argument. But so really I feel like in some ways that I really need to be more vocal, not only with them, but in real life in general. Like yesterday, my son went to go get his teeth cleaned, and he has an overbite. So he's got to go to an orthodontist, next week. And so I was just noticing that the lady that was cleaning his teeth was like acting like he was disobedient. She's telling him to do something, and he's not doing it. And she was just acting like that, and it was irritating me. And I'm like, thinking to myself, you don't know him. I wish I would have been more vocal. I wish I would have said to her that, he has an understanding issue. If I said that, then she would have understood. We approach life like that. We come up with a quick judgment on somebody, but we don't know the whole story. We could say that, this person's that or this person's this, and we come up with, what's wrong with them and what they need to do, but we don't have the full picture. You could say somebody is such an angry person, and really you don't know the reason why they're angry. You don't know their backstory. So it's the same with my son. It's not the fact that he's disobedient like this nurse or whatever you would call somebody that works on teeth. It's not like he was disobedient. It was the fact that you have to repeat things because he doesn't hear the first time. And so I make sure that when I'm talking to my son that I have to repeat myself to where he understands it. And, I had to deal with that and, with him as well. And I don't give him reasons why. I tell him that because I said so. I tell him, go up and get a bath, and then he fights me. So I come up with a 3-strike policy with him. I shouldn't have to tell him once, more than 3 times. I shouldn't have to do that. I should tell him once and it should be a strike. But I want to take in account the fact that he has that understanding issue. So I make it to where he understands it. I tell him, go up and get a bath. And then he'll fight about it. And I said, if I ask him again, I said, that's twice. And at that moment, that's when he goes up and does it. But he fights me at the beginning. I guess what kid doesn't? And so I have him try to do chores around the house. And his grandmother has money coming into his account each month. So I tell him that you have 3 strikes. If he doesn't listen, if he doesn't listen 3 times, he gets a strike. So once he gets 3 strikes, he'll get his phone taken away. If he further doesn't listen, then I call his grandmother and I say, cut his bank account. And so I want him really to learn responsibility, doing what he's told, that he's not going to be one of these kids that get an allowance for no freaking reason. He's going to learn that you have to work for what you want. And his older sister, she's done that. She goes to work and she saves her money, and she's saving her money for her car. So he's going to learn that same kind of responsibility, that he's not just going to get something because he's all cute. No, he's going to work for it. He's not going to be like a lot of these privileged kids that get an allowance for no freaking reason. So, just to say all that, just to say this, is the fact that, when you have kids, never give them a reason why, because they're going to argue that reason. Just tell them that, because I said so. And that should be the end of it. And hopefully they won't argue with you. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you for taking the time to watch.